What is up, guys? It's that GTA fan 720, and this is probably the most important video that I'm ever going. So if you guys aren't aware, there's been this bill going around recently called net neutrality. Now here's the thing, net neutrality is not a new concept. It's been around for a couple of years now. However, back in July of 2017, it was reinstated, meaning that whatever net neutrality is, it was put back in place. Which would make you think that if net neutrality is a good thing, that we should be in good shape. Except here's the problem. Since then, there has been a new chairman added to the FCC. He is a former lobbyist for Verizon Wireless, which is a popular internet service provider. Well, maybe not popular, but they're common. You probably know Verizon. And he used to work for Verizon. Which seems like a bit of a conflict of interest, doesn't it? We are assured that it isn't. So basically, he's trying to repeal net neutrality as it goes up for renewal on December 14th. Except, here's the problem, is that net neutrality is a very important thing. If you don't know what net neutrality is a legally binding contract that essentially says that your ISP cannot discriminate against any different type of traffic. What this means is that if you go to Netflix or you go to YouTube or whatever, if you are advertised a 50 megabit connection, then you shall get that 50 megabit connection on any website you visit, whether it's YouTube, Netflix, Gmail, whatever. They are not allowed to discriminate against network traffic. They are, even if that traffic is encrypted through a VPN, they cannot block that traffic. If they try to block that traffic, then they will get in a lot of legal trouble. Now, why is this important? Well, this is important because potentially, if an ISP has a competing service with another company, they can actually shut down or throttle the speeds of that competing service on their platform. Which essentially means that if AT&T has their own video messaging service and you're trying to use FaceTime, your friend's trying to use Skype, AT&T could throttle your connections that don't go through their specific video calling platform. What this basically means is that they can try to force you to use whatever services that they want you to use, which is not okay, because that means that you would be forced to pay more or have your speed throttled in order to access those services on top of your already ever-increasing internet bill. So this basically means that you will be charged more money for the same services outright. And that's not even the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is that the ISP could legally be allowed to block the website entirely, meaning that they could just completely shut down your ability to access Google. And God forbid, you do not want to use Yahoo. We all know that. So they could completely shut out your ability to use Google or YouTube or Facebook or Snapchat, whatever service, website, whatever you want. And this doesn't just have to be owned by them. If they have stock in a certain company, they could essentially take that website and make it much faster than all the other websites, regardless of how much you pay for your internet speed. Let that sink in. If net neutrality does not get reinitialized and does not get re-put back into place like it is currently, we will have a major issue on our hands. Think about it like cable. You buy a cable package from COMCAST, DirecTV, Dish Network, whatever. You pay depending on what channels you want. And you usually get a bunch of channels you don't care about just for the few that you watch. Okay? And a lot of people are saying legacy media is dying because with Netflix and Hulu, you can just watch whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. But if net neutrality gets the shaft, then they can block the websites entirely. They can block it entirely, they can make it really slow, and this actually has happened in the past. There was a point when Netflix was really slow for people for some reason, because an ISP, I forgot which one it was on the top of my hand, I'll put an annotation right there, was basically throttling that Netflix traffic on their ISP. And the reason that this was legal at the time was because the internet service provider was not considered a public utility, such as things like electricity or water. They were considered a public utility. Whereas if net neutrality dies, then they will be considered a private business, which means that they can discriminate against any type of network traffic that they have. And this is extremely important. Think about it like your electric bill. So let's say, you buy an electric bill, except your electric company says, oh wait, you can't use your vacuum cleaner. You have to buy our vacuum cleaner and plug it into our wall outlets, otherwise you can't use a vacuum cleaner. Imagine that. Imagine if your electric company says that you cannot use Dyson's vacuum. You cannot use Samsung's microwave. You have to use our products. You have to use what is compatible with our electricity, our special electricity. Imagine that. Sounds ridiculous, right? Now just imagine that for the internet. Verizon, AT&T, Mediacom, whatever company you have as your ISP. And keep in mind, you might be thinking, oh, can't I just jump to another ISP though? Which first off, yeah, that's great. Force everybody to switch providers. Except then, what stops them from doing that as well? Also, look up your local area and comment below. How many internet service providers do you have a choice between? How many? In your area where you get service at the speed you want, how many providers do you have an option between? Not a lot, right? Very few.
I heard that.
Thanks, Dad. So if you have internet where you are essentially not allowed to access certain websites, you're forced to pay more for the same traffic, they'll try to say it's a fast lane, when in reality, we all know it's a slow lane and then a slightly faster lane for the people that spent the money. And keep in mind, this is just ISPs. Even the actual company's websites, people like Google and Facebook also do not support the cutting of net neutrality. They support a free and open internet. Because keep in mind, if Microsoft says, oh, hey, COMCAST, we're going to pay you some more money if you slow down Google so people will want to use Bing. What stops Comcast from doing that? Nothing. If net neutrality goes under, nothing stops that. They will have the full legal ability to do that. And don't say they won't. Do you trust your ISP to not screw you over? At least more than they've already have? You realize that America is one of the slowest countries in the entire world for internet, despite the fact that we basically invented it. Yeah, because all these companies and corporations have already laid down their lines and basically had their own territories set out. This is why you don't have many options for cable internet providers. So this is why net neutrality should stay. This is why net neutrality should stay. And if you support a free and open internet the way it is now, if you support being able to go to any website you want, including use VPN traffic, because keep in mind, if a website can block anything they want, they can block your VPN, so you can't even get around it. They can just block it entirely. There is no legal limit if net neutrality goes under. So please, support net neutrality. Get in contact with all of your local centers. I will leave a link to a website in the description. It will take you to essentially where you can call your local congressman to basically tell them that you support net neutrality and you want it to be passed on December 14th. This is a very important thing, and I feel like the future of the internet is in our hands. They specifically did this around this time so people aren't focused and people are thinking about other things and not being concerned with this. But that we all know that that is terrible, and our voices need to be heard. Let your voice be heard. Let all of our voices be heard that we do not want our internet service providers to basically have completely free reign on our internet access. Because we may pay them for our internet, but that does not give them the right to block us or throttle services that we use to get us to use their garbage services that never work. Anyways, this is that GTA Fan 720 signing out. Please support net neutrality. Click the link in the description. It'll tell you exactly what you need to do. We still have time left. We can still save the internet.